Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today... Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to have a little chat about start collecting boxes, now that I have managed to successfully not die just doing the intro. And we're going to have a little chat about this because I realised today that there are still a few factions without start collecting boxes. Now the thing is, I don't tend to look at them all that often because I'm not often in the market to start a new army, and quite often my expansion needs are so stupid and specific that none of the boxes would cover what I want. There is no, yes, I would like 3 Ironclad Dreadnoughts box, and as such, there's no point in me looking. But there are a few factions that are most definitely also, we're in the middle of, like I say, in the middle of a new edition. Indomitus has launched. We have the 9th rules. I've got a massive pile of Necron sprues over there to assemble and paint. And of course I'm going to do that. And no, I haven't got distracted for doing an alternate scheme for the Dread Mob and wanting to repaint all of those because I've found a scheme I like. No, that would be ridiculous. Anyway, we're missing a few factions from the start collecting boxes. We are missing Death Guard, we are missing Custodes, we are missing Grey Knights. We are also missing Inquisition, but then they get NAFL support, so are you really surprised? We're missing Sisters of Silence, I echo my previous statement, and then we have the Inari, who I'm assuming at this point Games Workshop has simply forgotten they exist. I think they did all the storyline stuff for 8th, and they were like, oh yeah, look at this new thing the Eldar have got, and this new god, and let's go, let's make it a big pivotal plot point. And then whoever wrote that left, taking with them all the notes, and indeed any memory that such a thing existed, and no one has twigged yet that they are a thing. It's not just me, is it? It feels like that was very much abandoned pretty quickly after the fact. Anyway, those do not have start collecting boxes. Now, with Sisters of Silence, I'm not surprised, because they have one kit. That's it, just the one. With Inquisition, I'm not surprised, because that's so customizable and, frankly, kind of weird compared to every other faction. And Inari is, Games Workshop have forgotten that Inari are a thing, so that's not at all surprising either. But Death Guard and Custodes are two kind of surprising ones. Now, initially I did think, well, it's because of Dark Imperium, it's because of the starter sets that you can get for that. There's already Death Guard in there. That's why there's no Death Guard, like, start collecting box, except if you buy those boxes, you also ended up with Primaris Marines, which you didn't necessarily want if you were collecting Death Guard, and start collecting boxes provide a bit of a saving from buying all the stuff separately, which would make sense to have one for that faction, given that it was a significant part of 8th. The launch of 8th, the storyline for all of that, all the Dark Imperium stuff, Death Guard, fairly heavily involved at the beginning of all of that. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if we got some sort of start collecting box incorporating the stuff out of Dark Imperium and just the starter sets from the previous edition. That would not surprise me at all. It just surprises me that it's not already a thing, that we don't already have something of that kind, given that Primaris have got the Vanguard start collecting and they've got the Space Wolves start collecting, the Primaris Space Wolves, which, let's be honest, work perfectly well as just normal Primaris, because it's all the same. So you have like 2 different avenues into that particular side of things, but no avenue into the Death Guard through the start collecting boxes. Bit weird, bit odd that it's taken this long, and that one half of the storyline for the beginning of 8th got theirs, whilst the other half just haven't got it yet. Just not a thing currently. Also, technically, Dark Angels. Dark Angels don't have one. And really, Dark Angels would be kind of perfectly suited to have a couple. You could have a Raven Wing one, you could have a Death Wing one. You could do quite a bit with that. Add them to the list. So 4 major factions that do not have a start collecting box. The surprising ones, I mean, it's also, Death Guard is surprising, Dark Angels are kind of surprising. Custodes, it would surely be the easiest start collecting box, because they are pricey as hell to field. When it comes to points, Custodes are massively... They're just so expensive. They just cost so much to put on the table. Points-wise, not monetarily. That's one of the things that makes them great if you're just starting out. Because all you need to do is buy 5 models and you've practically got an army right there. I mean, it's not quite that extreme, but it's also not that far off. You could get away with, of course, a very low model count start collecting box for them, and still have a decent-sized force in terms of points. So the complete lack of that is a bit baffling. I mean, could you not just get away with one box of custodians and one and 3 jet bikes? Would that be fine? You could probably do that. Sure, why not? But no, there's just absolutely nothing for them. Same thing for the Grey Knights. Again, Grey Knights, kind of expensive points wise. They're both low numbers, but heavily elite forces. As such, you don't need to put that much in the box. You don't need to do a huge amount in the box for them to, be a sizable force on the battlefield. Although, now that I've thought about that out loud, now that I've said that, perhaps that's why. Perhaps it is because if you've got the traditional kind of, the vague amount of savings that you usually get from these start collecting boxes, which usually you end up saving sort of between 20, 25 quid, sometimes 30 quid, you would end up with a pretty sizable force of those, technically, kind of. Low model count, but still quite high points value. Maybe that's why. But still, it presents an uneven gateway into those factions. With pretty much every other faction, you've got that option of getting, some troops and a heavy support and a leader or whatever. You've got some combination of units that is quick and easy to access in one box that gives you a nice saving. Except not for Dark Angels, not for Custodes, not for Grey Knights, and not for Death Guard. Those factions just don't have access to that particular route in. Which, the more you think about it, the more it's just a bit dumb. It's just a bit daft. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense. You want to make it possible for people to get into every faction easily. It's another one of the reasons why actually it's kind of odd that there is the Primaris Space Wolves start collecting box, but there isn't just a normal no-name chapter version of it. I mean, you've already put aggressors and intercessors and a lieutenant or a captain or whatever it is in one box, but why have you done it Space Wolves rather than just anyone? Because anyone can take those. Any Space Marine force outside of Grey Knights can have them. So what's the point of not having it a generic thing? It's not a decision that makes a huge amount of sense, and it's not something that I particularly like, because it just means that there are uneven methods to getting into the hobby. You can get into any of the Slaanesh Demon ones. I mean, I think a lot of that is down more to AOS than 40k, but because I think it's the same boxes for both. But they're still available. It's still an option. You can still get that nice collection, that fieldable force, quickly and easily in one single box for less than you'd buy all of it separately, except for these random factions that we just haven't done it for yet because... who knows? Who knows why we haven't done it? They should. They should get on that. It should be an option for every single faction. It should be an option for every army. No matter what army you want to play, no matter what force you want to start, there should be that easy, simple gateway that is a bit cheaper. It lessens the blow, gets people in because they pick the thing, they go, I like that army, I'll buy that, and then they buy it, and they're like, oh, actually, there's quite a bit in this box. And then they go to buy a Lehman Russ separately and find that it takes up half the cost of the box they've already bought. It's a good way to get people straight into the hobby. But not for those armies, for seemingly no reason. They need to sort it out. What I'm curious about, though, I mean, for the Death Guard, I'm assuming you could get away with Plague Marines, you could get away with Poxwalkers, get away with some sort of HQ, whatever they fancy putting in there. Maybe the I forget the name, the Blight Drone, the hilarious mower. That would be cool. You could get away with that in a box, and that would be absolutely fine. The ones that actually would be kind of interesting would be Custodes and Grey Knights. So I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you reckon would go in a Adeptus Custodes or a Grey Knight start collecting box? What units do you reckon they'd pick? What would be the best way of doing it? What would be the most effective way to kind of match the price and points that you get from other boxes? Or do you think that it would be too difficult to do in terms of the value of the models in those boxes when it comes to points, and that's why it hasn't happened? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to go and lie in the freezer now because it's burning me up in this room. It's so warm. It's so hot in the UK. Well, look, just before we stop, okay, when I say it's so hot in the UK, it's like 35 degrees. I'm well aware that where you live, on the surface of the sun, or in the middle of the desert, or in the ninth circle of hell, or wherever the fuck you live, that 35 degrees is not that hot. I don't live where you live. I'm not used to that temperature. I'm a pasty Englishman, and I get too hot when it's more than 18 degrees. So this is literally the worst thing ever. That's not true. It's not literally the worst thing ever. But it's bad, and it's still hot. And talking about it has made me go on for longer. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Suggestions for those 2 start collecting boxes, how they would do it, what you think would work in those boxes. Feel free to click all the things, Patreon video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And there is, of course, an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.